The Bible says over 600,000 men left Egypt. Now think about that. That number doesn't even include women, children, and the elderly. We're talking about a population of over 2 million people walking out into a desert. A desert with no cities, no farms, and no visible future. This wasn't just some fairy tale miracle. It was a logistical nightmare of epic proportions. How on earth do you move a population the size of a modern megacity through one of the harshest landscapes on the planet? And why would God choose this way to deliver them? To truly understand the Exodus, we have to stop reading it like a simple children's story and start seeing it for what it was, a mass migration under absolutely impossible conditions. Let's dig deeper into this incredible journey together. Make sure to subscribe for more. Ever wondered just how many Israelites actually left Egypt during the Exodus? The Bible gives us a number, but it's more fascinating than you might think. Exodus 12 verse 37 says there were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. That's a huge number, right? But let's dig a little deeper. The Hebrew word used here is eleph. While it's often translated as thousand, it can also mean a clan, a military unit, or simply a group. This ambiguity has led to a lot of debate among scholars. Some argue the total number might have been smaller if eleph referred to family units instead of literally 1,000 people. But even the most conservative estimates still place the number in the hundreds of thousands. Imagine that. This wasn't just a small tribe sneaking away in the dead of night. This was an entire civilization on the move. The sheer scale is mind-boggling. Freedom sounds so romantic, doesn't it? But what happens when that freedom arrives without any structure? For over 400 years, the people of Israel lived under Egyptian control. Think about it. Their food was rationed, their work was assigned. Their very identity was crushed, but their lives were predictable. Then, suddenly, the desert. Everything they knew was gone. No schedules, no supply chains, no visible safety net. It was pure, terrifying freedom. In the book of Exodus, they cry out, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness?" Now, here's a cool insight. The Hebrew word for wilderness is midbar. It comes from the root word daber, which means to speak. The wilderness is the place where God speaks, but it's also the place where we panic when the old structures fall away. Let's talk about survival. Imagine you're in a desert. To stay alive in that heat, a single person needs at least 3 liters of water every single day. Now, picture 2 million people. That's a staggering 6 million liters of water needed daily, and that's not even counting the livestock. Archaeologists have studied the Sinai Peninsula, and they confirm what you'd expect. Water sources are incredibly limited. There are no major rivers, very little rainfall, and the springs that do exist could never support such a massive population. This is what makes the story in Exodus so astounding. The Israelites are in this exact situation, no water, in the middle of a desert. And then, water comes pouring out of a rock. But the story goes deeper. The Apostle Paul later writes that the rock was Christ. This miracle wasn't just about quenching physical thirst. It was a powerful lesson about complete dependence on a source of life that goes beyond what we can see or explain. It's about finding living water in the most impossible places. Imagine you've just escaped a lifetime of slavery. Freedom is new, but so is the desert. You're hungry. Then, every morning, something miraculous appears on the ground. The ancient Hebrews looked at it and asked, "Manhu," which literally means, "What is it?" That's where the name manna comes from. Even the miracle itself was confusing, but God gave a strange rule. Only gather what you need for today. Don't store it up. If you try to hoard it, it will rot and be filled with worms by the next morning. Why would God do that? Think about their past. Under slavery, you stockpiled whenever you could because you never knew when you'd have resources again. God wasn't just feeding them. He was retraining their instincts. He was teaching them to trust Him for their daily needs, not their own ability to hoard. The Exodus wasn't just about physical freedom. It was about healing the mind from a survival-at-all-costs mentality. It was a journey of learning to depend on a provider one day at a time. Have you ever wondered why the Israelites took 40 years to travel from Egypt to Canaan? I mean, if you look at a map, the distance is less than 400 miles. You could walk that in a few weeks. So what happened? The answer isn't about geography, it's about the heart. Numbers chapter 14 gives us a powerful insight. They had physically left Egypt, but mentally and spiritually, they were still slaves. They carried Egypt inside them. The fear, the complaining, the lack of faith. They saw giants in the land instead of the greatness of their God. Here is a thought that might change your perspective. God wasn't just preparing the promised land for them. He was preparing them for the promised land. He needed to get Egypt out of their hearts before they could truly inherit his promise. Sometimes, the longest journey we face is the one within ourselves. You know, the story of the Exodus isn't just something that happened thousands of years ago. It's actually a pattern, a cycle that we see again and again. Think about it. Freedom often feels so much harder than bondage, at least at first. That's because when you're in bondage, you're told exactly who you are, what to do, what to think. Your identity is handed to you. But freedom? Freedom forces you to figure all that out for yourself. It demands that you discover who you truly are, away from all the noise and expectations. And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe that's why the desert always comes before the promised land. It's in that seemingly empty space that we re-force to rely on something deeper and find our own strength. Because every generation has its own Egypt and its own wilderness to cross. Thanks for watching.